Lewis, are you sitting? Are you sleeping?
What? Yeah, man. What?
Lewis, Jameson wants a headline to him in the next 8 minutes and 32 seconds, and that's accounting for the end of the sentence.
Chill out. I did it, man. Here.
What is this? You gotta be kidding me. Spider-Man has web coming out of his ass. What is this, Lewis?
In my defense, I wrote butt.
That's besides the point.
Dude, chill out, man. You're tripping over this dude with his yee-looking toupee, man. Really?
Yeah, I think he's actually been chewing the same cigar for 12 years.
bro, for real. Bro, I swear he probably sleeps here every night because his wife freaking hates him.
Oh, yeah. They fight so much, dude. Dude, you know what? He is an idiot, man. He's acting like everybody didn't see him wearing this suit, acting like Spider-Man in his office, jumping on his desk.
Not the
Man.
suit.
You know what? You and I should be running this place.
Bro, we could run this place better than that idiot ever
That guy's
could.
dumb.
He's a freaking doofus, man. You know what?
You guys ready? Lobby up.
Hey guys, lobby up.
GG's, lobby up.
Dude, we gotta lobby up.
Lobby up.
Hey, should we lobby up?
Yo, lobby up.
Lobby up, y'all.
Hey, let's grab a beer. Lobby up.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Lobby Up. We got Matt and Lewis in the house.
Hello.
So, today we are talking about Marvel's Spider-Man, released September 7th, 2018,
Oh,
which
yes.
is right about the time that we can start feeling nostalgic, especially with Spider-Man 2. At the time of recording, I think it's released. It just released or it's about to release. And at the time of posting, we're probably already neck deep playing this game and reviewing it. So
Mhm.
I'm pretty excited for future Lewis and future Matt.
Oh, yes. They don't even know what's coming to them.
Dude, I'm stoked. Here at Lobby Up, I would go ahead and say that Spider-Man is the fan favorite here in the studio, would you say?
Absolutely. I mean, I know for us it really is. I know that it's gone back and forth over the years, the past, several decades, whether Spider-Man or Batman comes out on top, but definitely safe to say right now, Spider-Man's got to be the number one superhero.
Yeah, and at least for me, Spider-Man has my heart. He has since I was a kid, and I have not wavered. I am a diehard Spider-Man fan. So playing these games has been a massive treat, especially coming from somebody who just now owned a PlayStation console. I just got a PlayStation 5, and the last time I got a PlayStation was the PlayStation 1.
Big upgrade.
Oh yeah, dude, for sure.
4
for sure.
generations.
So hey, I finally caught up, got a PlayStation for the sole purpose of Spider-Man. I wanted to play Spider-Man. I wanted to see what it was all about, and I'm so glad I got to play it and experience that and Miles Morales. And I'm excited to talk about it, man.
Yeah, man, me too. Being able to now not only have the PS5, but how was starting off the PS5 Spider-Man experience?
You go into Spider-Man, and at least most people go into Spider-Man not knowing anything about the story. I had years of spoilers because you started in PlayStation 4 era, right?
Oh yeah, dude, I started it right on release, and fun fact, a little sidebar, September 7th is my birthday, so that was like big birthday present for me. Like, I
bro.
was so stoked to play.
Tell the listeners / viewers what you got in addition to your Spider-Man copy, because I remember you got something even bigger than just the game.
Yeah, I got the PS4 Pro console, and it was like the whole like red Spider-Man logo, like white logo. It was so sick. I traded in my old Pro for it, and like honestly, it was just such an awesome upgrade. It was so sick.
Dude, jealous. I'm not gonna lie. I really wanted to get the PS5 Spider-Man, but that thing sold out immediately. So I might settle
Yeah.
for the little plates later on. But so
Right.
yeah, I went into Spider-Man with, I'll be honest, I basically knew the whole story already going in. So it was solely for gameplay for me. So like the initial thoughts that I had was like, you know what? This is all about the gameplay. I'm gonna experience the gameplay. I don't really care too much about this particular story
Right.
because I already knew the story. I knew the plot points and stuff. But bro, it plays like a darling. It plays so good.
So good. Yes. So before you get into it, had you played any Spider-Man games before this one?
Absolutely. I played the original Spider-Man on like the PlayStation 1. I played it on
Okay.
Nintendo 64. And
Nice.
I got to play the Spider-Man 2 tie-in game for the GameCube that has,
So good.
Dude, it's a debate, but the swinging in that game was left unchallenged until the release of Marvel's Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4.
I thoroughly agree with that. I fondly remember the Spider-Man 2 swinging just being exactly as a kid. I haven't had that type of feeling since Spider-Man 2 until, like you said, till we got Marvel's Spider-Man.
Yeah, and even then, there's still a group, like there's a subsection of people that it's no contest. It's Spider-Man 2 from a console from 2002, that reigns supreme for swinging. I'll be honest, I like the swinging better for Marvel Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4/5. But there is a case to be made, and a case that I'm willing to listen to, that Spider-Man 2 swinging is the better one out of the both. I'd listen to it because it's pretty damn good, especially from a game from over 20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
What about you, bro? Did you play any other Spider-Man games?
Mostly like like you said, like the ones on the early consoles, a little bit on N64, the Spider-Man game, but there was an older one, and for the life of me I can't remember the name of it, but it had like the Venom interactions. Do you remember which one I'm talking about?
Web of Shadows.
Yes, Web of Shadows. Yeah, it was a decent one. And then, of course, Spider-Man 2. But definitely what took the cake up until Marvel Spider-Man for me was Spider-Man 2. I remember just pouring like hundreds of hours into that game.
Dude, I'd replay that all the time, bro, for sure. Again, if you believe that the web swinging is better for Spider-Man 2, there is literally no shame in that, because again, up until this, it was left unchallenged. So going into the game for you, like you played it first before I did, so you went in with no preconceived notions. You went right into it. Like, what were your initial thoughts when you first played that Marvel Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4?
I was really thankful for the privilege to play, and I think it spoke a lot of volume personally for what Insomniac was able to accomplish. You know, people like to praise like the big top dog, like being Sony here, but I think it speaks a lot more for what Insomniac can do. I think any Marvel game that ever is put in their hands will be treated with the most delicate of care and just love and passion, and that's what you expect, that's what you want from any developer, right? So I think that was like my initial thoughts, just like marveling at what I was playing, you know.
Well, you come on to a good point, is that you had the opportunity to play it, because like I said, was not a PlayStation owner until literally a couple months ago. And I'll be honest, I was really never affected by the exclusive thing. I'm pro, like, I wish everybody could just play any game at any given console. I understand that that's not how the world works, and I understand that these companies need to find a way to get you on their ecosystem. Totally get it. But honestly, I never felt that I was missing out on any exclusives for PlayStation as an Xbox owner until Spider-Man came out. And then that's when I was feeling the burn, like, dude, like, am I gonna have to get a PlayStation? Which I feel like by the time Spider-Man came onto the PlayStation 4 in 2018, we were on the tail end of the PlayStation 4 life cycle, so that was even preventing me from even wanting to get a PlayStation.
Right, it's like, why make the investment now if you can eventually get a PS5 like you did?
Yes, and that's exactly what I decided. I didn't expect that they were going to remaster it so quickly.
Yeah, and that was pretty cool to have. My only one complaint is I got so used to and invested in the original face design of Peter Parker, and in the remaster, obviously they make him a lot younger, and it just kind of like, it didn't mesh with me at first. It's slowly settled in, and now that I've seen the trailers of, you know, obviously Spider-Man 2 coming out, it looks great. It's making more sense. Clearly they wanted to, you know, go back and try to future-proof this a little bit more, but it took some getting used to.
I don't think they changed his age though, right? Just his face, because I think he's 26, at least on the remastered version.
Right. So they don't officially say that like his age is different, but if you look at the facial features of the original versus the second, I mean, it literally looks like teenager versus like baby. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, technically, yes, same age.
I knew the allure of this Spider-Man was supposed to be a much older, more mature Spider-Man. Like, this is a Spider-Man that's kind of gotten into his own rhythm. This is an experienced Spider-Man, and that was the selling point. Like, it wasn't another origin story. It wasn't another like, let me kind of figure out how to be a spider. Like, if this was,
why this spider bit my hand? Yo, I got a fever. No, I'm a superhero.
Not Uncle Ben again for the 6th time.
Yeah, exactly. We've already hashed that story enough.
So that was the allure. So people were expecting an older looking Spider-Man, a more, a Spider-Man that looked a little bit more like you and I.
You mean aged like fine wine?
Absolutely.
But he's
So-
only 8 years into his Spider-Man like career, so to speak. So it's that good balance of not being like worried about him going into like retirement, and then also just enough experience to where like, okay, I can expect some pretty badass combat scenes here.
Yeah. Oh, granted, he's not a decrepit old man. Like he's doing it. He's still doing his thing.
Right.
So I didn't get attached to that initial face, obviously, because I played on the remastered. So I got this clean,
Yeah.
fresh face Spider-Man or Peter Parker. So like I haven't had to get used to anything, but I have seen the face of the original one, and I gotta say I'm kind of glad they switched it over.
Really?
Yeah, and granted, it's also because I got used to what I got used to.
Sure.
So like
yeah.
I see the old face, and I'm just like, ugh, old.
Yeah, I think it was for me like I had never even seen a Spider-Man look of that age until we got Tobey Maguire in No Way Home.
Oh my god,
Then we got 40-year-old Spider-Man.
he looked like a youth pastor.
Yeah, exactly. So like it was just also refreshing to get that new change. Spider-Man hitting the ground running, getting into all this like craziness that starts taking off right away.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the face aside and everything, I think no matter what, the consensus is that the cultural impact of this game for superhero video games, it elevated it to the next level that hadn't been seen since the Batman Arkham City game. I feel
Right.
that before Spider-Man came out, Batman Arkham City reigned supreme as the greatest superhero game ever made, and to some is still unmatched. We're gonna find out if there's even a discussion later on this month with Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, and on the Batman topic, it's like you got to pay respects to these, to the original type of pioneers in this genre. But in my opinion, it's like Batman's Android, Spider-Man is gonna be Apple here. Like that's great that you came
Bad
out with
take.
the you
Oof.
came out with the new features, but Spider-Man perfected it.
That's fine. Nah, and listen, ultimately it's opinion based. Of course, everyone's gonna like what they like. I've had the pleasure of playing all of the Batman Arkham games, and so far all of the Spider-Man games. I guess we'll let that topic simmer a little bit till towards the end of this episode. I can kind of explain a little bit more on my thoughts comparing the two games. But moving on, man. Let's go ahead and talk about the gameplay and the moments to moments of Spider-Man, man. Spider-Man, man.
Batman.
Spider-Man, man.
Not just a spider, not just a man, but half Spider-Man, half man.
Spider-Man, man.
Don't forget the second hyphen. Respect
Yeah, you're right.
the second hyphen.
So you and somebody who spent a crap ton of time and got it right off the bat when it released, what would you
Yeah.
say is your favorite aspect of the game? Would you go with like the story? Would you go with the combat? Or are you going to be just a simple man and say the swinging, just the swinging?
Let's talk about the story, man. Like it's I think this is easily one of the best cohesive narratives of Spider-Man that's come out in history. I mean, especially something in electronic media. Not so much like maybe there's a better comic book telling, but I'm sure people can argue and debate that. But as far as like any type of video game, movie, any type of live action adaptation, any type of animated adaptation, this has been one of my all-time favorites. They have proven, cough, Spider-Man 3, cough, that they can handle multiple bad guy narratives in one cohesive story and make it work.
In the defense of Spider-Man 3, yep, I'm that guy. I'm coming to save Tobey Maguire. Spider-Man 3 had to like jumble all these dumb villains in 2 hours, and then with this one you got a hefty it's actually the first game that I platinum for the PlayStation 5, and it's the first game I ever bought for it, and it took me about 25 hours. So that's 25 hours to like flesh out everything without it being jumbled up in 2 hours, like Spider-Man 3. And I don't think that Sony was behind the directors at Insomniac being like, you have to put in Venom
That's
to
fair.
get
But
toy
to
sales.
be fair, how much did everybody want Venom? Okay, it was on the
True.
third movie we needed Venom, and
That is
like
true.
I do understand that Raimi wanted to tell a different story, but save that for Spider-Man 4 that could have come out if you just made a good Spider-Man 3.
Hashtag bring back Spider-Man 4. Make it trend on X/Twitter.
All that to say, easily one of my favorite aspects about the game is the story. Putting spotlight on some of the not as common Sinister Six components. You know, you've got Scorpion, you know, trying to put Rhino into his new light. I think that was like, and then you've got your classic Electro, you've got Vulture. Those are always great to have in there. But having Mr. Negative was such a cool introduction.
Yes,
And
I really liked him as a villain, man.
yes, and his origin story, the way they tied in all these big names, getting Oscorp and the story, getting even Miles's dad, like in the very
giving
beginning.
him like that spotlight.
Yes, so I found the way that they wove the story very purposeful, right? Everything was done for a reason, and just making me more excited about the sequel story. So
For sure.
Well, what about you?
So I would have to say that my favorite aspects of the game was the combat. It doesn't help that I came into the game knowing basically the whole story. As a Spider-Man, you know, aficionado, it's like my duty to be up to date with all things Spider-Man, even if I can't play the game. So I knew the story going in, so I made it a point to have a special like interest in just the gameplay. That's what was carrying me through this game.
Were you seeing a lot of like the story on YouTube and stuff, or like where
YouTube.
would you get like bits of it from?
So there is a curse that you get when you are a super mega nerd like ourselves, and that's that you follow all these super mega nerd Facebook pages, Twitter profiles, YouTube videos. So like there's nothing you can do to escape these things. And if it's a game that's been out for multiple years, people are gonna post plot points.
We're about to have a lobby up sidebar. Cue the sidebar noise. Lewis, why don't you tell all of our listeners how you had Han Solo dying spoiled for you?
Oh my god, bro! You want to talk? We're gonna continue talking about how you get spoiled. I'm sorry, I'm angry just thinking about it. I am angry. This was during the hype of Star Wars, the Force Awakens. It was the first Star Wars movie that we have gotten since friggin' ever. Since episode 3, the hype was real. No one wanted spoilers, bro. I stayed off the internet because, again, as a nerd, you're kind of cursed to be following all these nerd pages. So I'm like off the internet, and I was off the internet for like 2 weeks. So a couple days before Star Wars was released in theaters, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to play a rousing game of Super Smash Bros. I was really excited. I was like, I love Smash Bros. If you know me, you know me. So there is a stage in Smash 4 for the Wii U called the Miiverse stage. And the special thing about this cool stage is that if you had a Miiverse account, you could write messages and draw pictures, and it would appear.
Yeah, make like really cool art to be featured, right?
Yeah, like it was this really cool gallery of pictures and a bunch of fun stuff like while you're fighting.
And that was like all circulating, like in the background as they're fighting somebody online.
Yep. So I was playing online, having a good time, minding my own business, not being on the internet. And on the Miiverse stage, in bold black letters, it says Han Solo dies in Force Awakens. And I'm just like, what the are you kidding me? Are you serious? And dude, I couldn't believe it. And I dropped my controller. I'm playing online. I dropped my controller. I let myself get beaten. And I'm just staring at this Miiverse picture on this stage. And I'm like, oh my God, I hate my life so much right now.
Even if you won that match, bro, you still lost.
I know I lost the match, and I lost my mind, and I lost freaking the excitement of seeing Han Solo die. So
R.I.P. to Lewis getting spoiled. This has been a Lobby Up sidebar.
I'm still hurting. I haven't thought about that in a little bit. So going back to that, going back to the Spider-Man being spoiled. And granted, it wasn't a spoiler at that point because the game had been out for multiple years. So
Right.
Spoiler alert for those who haven't played, but you've had since 2018.
Yeah, you had 5 years.
You know, Aunt May dies. I knew that Aunt May dies in the story. I knew that of course Dr. Otto Octavius is gonna be what's his face? Dr. Octopus. I knew everything. So I wasn't going into this game for the story, which was actually a really
Right.
nice change of pace. Like
Yeah.
I'm going in for the gameplay, and bro, the combat is top tier. As somebody who plays the Arkham games, I see the comparisons because really the
Yeah.
Arkham games were and still are some of the best superhero fighting mechanics that you can have in any superhero game. And definitely see that Spider-Man took a lot of inspiration from the Arkham City games. They did well. And I would actually have to disagree. I wouldn't call the Arkham City the Android version because it felt extremely similar.
He's still thinking about that.
What? Yeah, I was
He's
because
still thinking about it.
well, because I would say I'm in the camp that I still believe Arkham City is still the definitive superhero game, and this is of course without playing Spider-Man 2 yet. That may change. I'm not really closed-minded to it. If the game is better, in my opinion, it's better. I personally like the Arkham City games just a bit more, but that is a testament to how good Spider-Man's combat is. If it even holds a candle to the Arkham
Right.
City fighting
The
mechanics.
amount of variety that you
Yes.
get to, I mean, any play style for these combat sequences where you're taking down a group of bad guys, you don't have to thwip everybody into the wall. You throw out a gadget, you throw out a bomb, you throw out the web bomb. Your suit has powers. Unlocking another suit gives you abilities that you can grind for and look forward to. It gives that extra level of satisfaction as you're playing. Dude, it just feels like all you can eat buffet of just
Absolutely.
webbing up dumbasses.
It's the Spider-Man. So, what would you say out of your whole time with the first Spider-Man? What was your favorite moment in the game?
I love a good story that can tie everything together. It's why I love the first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones and hated the last couple, right? You have all these beautiful pieces being put together, woven together in a web, right? And it's just like, where does this connect to this? Where does this connect to that? Why does this even matter? Why are they showing me this? And then you come back to that moment and you're like, oh my gosh, that's why. And I think the moment for me was when, you have that, Peter always gets these horribly difficult, life-altering decisions. This
Typical
game,
Spider-Man.
right? Exactly, right? Like, do you want to save all the city or do you want to save Aunt May? And that for me, and you're looking at this antidote that he has, and you think about, like, this came from the fact that, like, Mr. Negative was being tested on as a kid, and that's how he got his powers. Oscorp was the one who created it, and it was just like all these different aspects about that moment just building up to the pure pressure that he's facing, but also the significance of it all. And that, to me, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Like, it's such a beautifully constructed story, and it's always part of Peter's life to be facing these hard decisions. And of course he does the honorable thing and saves everybody, but always bearing that burden.
Yeah.
It's just, I thought that was huge.
Well, because everybody says, like, oh, if I had to choose between the entire human race and my mom, I would be noble and choose the human race and save everybody. But it's like, yeah, it's easy to say that when you're not really in that situation.
Right.
It's
Right.
really easy to say that when that's probably never going to happen to you in your entire life.
Yeah.
So, like, if you really kind of cut the BS and really think about that, that's not an easy choice, man.
No, of course not. And I think that they give Peter that time to really feel that and express that. You get to you get to almost be there with him, and it's just it's such a special experience. But what about you? What's one of like the most impacting, significant moments for you in the game?
So it's funny that you say that because my favorite moment is very like closely tied to what you're talking about, but it happens just a little bit after that. And for me, my favorite moment in the entire game is when May Parker finally admits to Pete that she's always known that he was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I getting chills just thinking about that, because let's be real for just like let's bring this weird Spider-Man universe to the real world for just a second. There is no way in hell that someone wouldn't have already known that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. There's just no way. And
you can't just throw in that Brooklyn accent and then everybody's like, who the hell is this?
Which is funny because Peter's from Brooklyn and I don't even think he can do that accent.
No.
Which is even
Literally never does.
So it's crazy to think that your own like mother figure, because yes, she's Aunt May, but that's Mama May, because that's the closest thing that Peter will ever have to a mom. And she knew the whole time. And she's known for a long time, and she's kept that burden herself of not letting him know and letting him be out and putting himself in danger, because everyone's always like, oh, poor Peter, like he has to keep this secret. And it's like, yeah, poor Peter, the guy with superhuman strength and awesome acrobatic abilities, poor guy has to keep this a secret. I think that Aunt May is the one with the heavier burden between the two, knowing this secret and worrying every night that this her son, I know it's her nephew, but that's her son, being out there putting himself in danger every night, fighting these crazy superhuman bad guys, like, and
leaving him alone, not interfering. And what makes it more beautiful too is like she never treated him any differently, just loved him exactly the same.
So that is my favorite, bar none. Nice. I got teary-eyed when I saw that, and that's that I knew most of the story, but I didn't know that was the one surprise I got story-wise that came out of left field. And I'm like, oh wow, like she knew the whole time. I just started crying. So that's my favorite story moment of the whole game.
Nice, dude. Yeah, before I forget, we got to talk about the traversal, because the swinging in this game, whenever I think about gameplay in terms of moving around, I can't remember who said this before, but the best games make it rewarding to move around, just to go to another location, or just to move around in an area. Are you finding things? Is it rewarding to go check out that little obscure object over there? And this game nails that. It freaking slams it. And I think about when Miyamoto designed Mario 64, and you have this leap from 2D side scrollers to this 3D world, and he describes in interviews like the most development time they had was on the movement and just letting you be able to move around as Mario. And I can't help but think back to that when I'm playing this game. Like you're going building to building, you're zipping down. Every bit of the movement was a purposeful decision. You're falling at that speed because they probably tested 100 different speeds and were like, this one makes the most sense.
Yeah.
This one looks realistic, but provides the most satisfaction. It confounds the mind that these guys have developed such an awesome movement in a game. I love it. I love it so much.
For sure. And again, this is why Spider-Man 2 and this game have always been compared in terms of traversal. And for those that aren't really aware, because they're like, how can a game in 2018, how can they compare that to a game that came out during the GameCube era, Xbox era? Like, how can they do that? That is a testament to how good the traversal was in Spider-Man 2. Like, switch that around for a second. How is a game from 2002, 2003 being compared to a game from 2018? Like,
yeah,
that was the one all be all in terms of Spider-Man traversal. So for this game, after multiple attempts to even be in the discussion of being compared to Spider-Man 2, is just a testament to how great the traversal is.
Oh, absolutely. Still deserves respect today.
For sure. So we've talked about our experiences, our initial thoughts, our time with Spider-Man. What are your final thoughts here in 2023 about, because I just played the game for the first time. You played this game a while ago. You've gotten to
Yeah.
simmer on it. You've gotten to take it in and think about it over the years. So like, what would you say your final thoughts are for Marvel Spider-Man?
Dude, I gotta say, it is a solid just 9 out of 10. Set the bar for the gold standard for what a Spider-Man game should at least be. If anything falls short of this game, it's just going to completely pale in comparison. And it's so easy to, like, I mean, half of our conversation here, we've been talking about past Spider-Man games. There's been so many of them that it's really easy in your brain without even trying to be like, oh man, I like this so much better, or like, oh, I wonder if they're ever going to do this again. It's so easy to compare. So honestly, my biggest, most imminent final thought about the game is it set a high bar for Spider-Man 2. And of course, we've all seen lots of footage about the gameplay. It looks very exciting and very promising. But I have high hopes for it because the first game set that bar so high.
Yeah, for sure. And I believe that you can only go up from the first game. Granted, some games have proven that you can go down right after.
Right.
But again, here at Lobby Up, we believe that nobody's setting out to make a bad game. And Insomniac has a really good record of making some fantastic games. So I definitely see them only going up from here for Spider-Man 2. So do you think this game is worthy of every praise and accolade that it has gotten over the years?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know I'm biased, obviously, and I really, especially for the purposes of our listeners, I really try to put that aside whenever I'm giving my honest opinion about a game. Even if the source material is something that I hold really near to my heart, like Spider-Man. But I gotta say, this game is just, I think it's a game that anybody who enjoys just playing a single player game should play. If you have the ability to go out and get this game, highly recommend. Whether you like superheroes, whether you got into the whole Avengers saga or not, go play this game. It's so good. It will not disappoint. It's so fun.
Absolutely. And I would have to echo that and agree. This game deserves every accolade that it's ever gotten. It deserves to be in the talks as the greatest superhero game ever made. Here's where I come in though. So I just played this game like last month for the first time ever. I want to say last month or 2 months ago. It was really recent. And I loved every second of this game. I enjoyed everything, the story, the gameplay, the combat, the swinging. But I have to say that I still think, and this is pre-playing Spider-Man 2, I have not played it, and I have played Miles Morales, which we'll get to that in just a minute. My heart still is with Batman Arkham City. I think that's the definitive greatest of all time superhero game. And because it's so great, I could not help but see everything that Insomniac pulled from Arkham City. They pulled a lot from this game, and if you haven't played this game, you wouldn't notice. But dude, like in Batman Arkham City, you're in detective mode. Here, you're in Spider Sense mode where you click the buttons and everything flashes and you see where to go next. Batman did that first. The gameplay, the combat, I feel that I was good at this game from the beginning. I played in the hardest difficulty from the beginning because I'm used to the Batman Arkham games, and it literally 1-for-1 transferred over. Like my skills in Arkham City carried me through Spider-Man.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, like so that was in the back of my mind where it's like I can play this game like Batman Arkham City and still be good at it. And then the last thing that was just like, ugh, like this is literally copy paste. There's this scene where you are infected by Scorpion's venom and like you're hallucinating and you see all these like scorpion tails coming out and trying to kill you, and you're swinging through the city and you're all drugged up on poison. That to me was a 1-for-1 of when Batman gets infected by the Scarecrow's gas, the fear gas, and the Scarecrow turns giant and you're running away from the Scarecrow, and you're hallucinating. I'm like, as I was playing this game, I'm like, this is literally the same thing as Batman Arkham City.
That's a good point.
It was jarring. So let me finish off by saying Marvel Spider-Man is an amazing superhero game, and to me it's number 2, which is, there's nothing wrong with number 2. And let it be known that Batman Arkham City is the second game in the Arkham City, and the third game sucks. I don't like the third Batman Arkham game. So like, this is what it accomplished on its first go around. The fact that it can even compare to Batman Arkham City is a testament to how great this game is. And I wouldn't be surprised on the episode on Spider-Man 2 that I come on here and say that Spider-Man 2 is the best superhero of all time. Or best superhero game of all time. I wouldn't be surprised. But for now, I believe that it's just under Batman Arkham City for me.
Oh, okay. Hey, fair. If the bar has been set there for you, then understandable. I respect that. And hopefully, you know, Spider-Man 2, they can take what they have learned from the Arkham games and developed in the Spider-Man, like the first Marvel Spider-Man, and they take that and just completely make everything original in this sequel and just take off with it.
Yeah,
So-
for sure. And what they did, and this is going to be a perfect segue into our next section, I would even say that Miles Morales, for me, I like that game just a little bit more. So
No way.
yeah, so let's go
Wow.
ahead and talk about it. Yeah, man, honestly, I would say that I did like Miles Morales just a bit more than Marvel's Spider-Man. Granted, Miles Morales was made for the PS5. It
Yeah.
wasn't on the PS4, so it had a lot going for it there. So visually, like, it was a little jarring because I played the remastered version for the PS5, and it was weird that Miles Morales even looked better than that. But I guess that's what you get when you're solely dedicated to being developed on a next-gen console.
Yeah, absolutely. I do hear where you're coming from. Like, getting the opportunity to play this game with all the new tech, all the new hardware at its disposal, definitely will give some unlocks to this game.
Yeah, and granted, there was some quality of life issues that I feel Miles Morales fixed. So I play the Spider-Man games like a heathen. I play.
What does that mean?
Dude, I play this. I don't know if the developers had people like me in mind. So yeah, like, I'm going all over the city, and it's like you collect these sentimental like items. I think they're in the
Oh, yeah.
backpacks, and it's
Yeah.
like there are 50 of them. And I'm sure the developers, when they were developing, they were like, they'll collect them as they go. Me being
There's a backpack.
I'm like, there's 50 backpacks. I'm gonna go ahead and collect them all right now.
I now know what my next 49 tasks are.
And dude, I will solely dedicate my time to getting every single backpack before I even touch the story. So I collect all of them, I do my story, and then I come out of my story and it's like, there are now bases here. And it's like, there's 10 bases in the city. And I'm like, 10 bases, one of me. I'm gonna dedicate the next 3 hours of my life just doing bases. And
Just here we go again.
so I would sweep them all, like everything that I was supposed to do throughout the game in Marvel's Spider-Man, I would just sweep them all at once. And I'm not gonna lie, and this is my fault, I know, but I start to get bogged down by it. I'm like, it started getting super repetitive, and I'm
Jeez,
like,
now I know why you chose the word heathen, because you are your own undoing here.
but then you go into Miles Morales, and I didn't feel like I played the exact same way, the same exact way. I didn't change anything about how I played. You know, the bases come out, I did all the bases at once. In Miles Morales, it was the time capsules, but it wasn't as many, and it was a good amount of collectibles that I could do that and not feel extremely bogged down. And then
Right.
my number one complaint, oh my god, with Marvel Spider-Man, and we didn't talk about it in the last section, but it has a lot to do with this section. Dude, those Mary Jane and Miles Morales sections in the Marvel
Yes.
Spider-Man
Easily the weakest part of the game.
were horrible. Like,
Yeah.
it was like a full stop, like record scratch, and they dragged on forever. And like, who would have thought playing as Miles Morales would be boring as hell? But I mean, get him without his superpowers and he's boring. But nothing is worse than the Mary Jane sections, dude. Like,
Oh, absolutely. They should have been a lot quicker. Like you said, they drug out too long. If it was already going to be slowing down the game so hard, they should have made them like really quick. That way it could have just kind of given you a second to catch your breath from all the
Yes.
fast-paced Spider-Man action, and it would have been actually viewed in a different light. But instead, yeah, drug out way too long.
yeah, so Miles Morales didn't do that. And those, like, the very few times that you aren't playing, which I actually think it's just once at the end, if I remember correctly, you only do it once, and it's really meaningful. It gives some backstory with the main bad guy. I am a little bit more cautious about revealing too much in terms of spoilers, because this is a relatively new game, 2 years.
Nah. I would say, you know, if you haven't played this game by now, you're outside the spoiler courtesy window.
Okay, in this game, the main bad guy is like your best friend. She's your like sister. You grew up together,
Right.
and it really showed like this. I like the dynamic that those two characters played in terms of like, you're my best friend, you're my sister, but we both are trying to do what we're doing right. Throughout the game, you don't really get too much. You don't get to see too much of that sisterly brotherly love until the very end, where you play as a depowered Miles Morales before he got his Spider-Man powers, and you're going through this museum and you're seeing like
That
the
was
banter
fun.
between the both of them, and I'm like, this is necessary. This feels right. Like this you're getting to see a glimpse of a moment in time before both of them became powered.
Did you see Peter?
Yes, Peter and Dr. Octavius just chilling there, and
Yes.
bro, I look like the biggest creep because they're talking, and I'm just
I'm just
standing over them like
standing there staring at them like, I want to hear your conversation.
you look like that kid from Hey Arnold. You're just like Peter's just gonna
Yeah, dude, I totally agree. Like that type of pacing is what you want from those slower moments. Give me something that's rewarding. Again, being able to move around just because we're moving slower, depowered, doesn't mean that it has to be boring. Give me some sort of meaning behind it. Give me some fun sequences that are unique. And it's always an opportunity, right? And I do think that Miles Morales definitely did those parts better. And to be fair too, in the combat areas where you're trying to be stealthy, Miles can also turn invisible.
yeah.
So that's a little bit
yeah.
helpful.
Dude,
a little bit of a
Peter's-
one up there.
Peter said it best. He's like, dude, I'm a little jealous. It's like, dude, Miles Morales just became Spider-Man a year ago, and the man has Venom power, like the electricity. He
Right.
can turn invisible. And I'm like, Peter Parker's just like, I got webs and I can stick to walls. Like,
Miles is like, oh, cool, me too.
so what did you think, like, going into Miles Morales? Like, how did you enjoy your time with the game?
Dude, I have loved Miles Morales since he has been introduced into my life. I have, as soon as they announced this game, I was beyond hyped. I was like, man, I cannot wait to experience the Venom powers. Can't wait to experience how they're going to change the gameplay. And you get so many awesome sequences. I love what they did with Prowler and being able
Prowler's
to have
so
those
cool.
the combat scenes with the Venom and Prowler were actually, honestly, like, the gameplay itself was challenging, but it also put me on edge because you're like,
Yes.
oh my god, am I gonna kill my uncle, or is he gonna like depower me? Like, I really just didn't even know what was gonna happen next in some of those fight scenes. And you see him having all of those moments with his uncle, always tying back to him just trying to look out for him. Maybe his intentions are misguided at times, but again, the story just has not missed.
No,
And
dude, the
I
story's
loved
so
that.
good. The story's so
Yeah.
good, and like getting the backstory between the Prowler and his brother, Miles Morales' dad, and I really, talking about slowing down the gameplay in the correct way. I really enjoyed those mini game section where you'd go to the different spots and sample the audio. Did you get to play? Did you get to those parts?
Yes.
Dude, and then like you sample the New York City sound for your
Right.
mixtape, and it's just like you get the backstory on how Uncle Aaron, or the Prowler and Miles' dad used to be as kids, and you get to hear the Prowler side of things, and you're just like, man, like, it's crazy how, like, in a moment of time in your past, like, things can be so fun and easy, and you get these wholesome moments with your family, and never to even think that in 10 years down the line you'd be on opposite ends of the law.
Yeah.
You know, Miles' dad being a cop and him being a freaking superpowered thief with an awesome suit.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can tell, again, just the way that Insomniac weaves these moments that you're describing, it's beautiful. And with that, they chose a totally unique gameplay experience, hunting down these sound effects and the payoff for finding them, the satisfaction for, yes, the sample for the mixtape, but also, again, the story. And I just, again, that gameplay right there, chef's kiss, because
And you get the cool Prowler suit for getting all of those. It's awesome.
It's so
cool.
sick.
It's so
Yes,
cool.
dude. That, again, like, and we didn't touch on it nearly enough in the Marvel Spider-Man section, but the suits are so good. And
All of them are good.
all of them, every single one. And I really, really did love that. I'm not gonna lie though, one of the things that I didn't really care for too much was when you're trying to get different suit powers. I didn't feel like there was enough expression from the suit powers.
Yeah.
I felt like when you're trying to do the mods, it got just a little too complicated for no reason. It wasn't as simple as like, all right, you leveled up, here's a point, you can spend it, get the thing. It wasn't really like that. And the ones that you're getting, I didn't really feel like they added a whole lot to my gameplay personally.
No, and that's fair. I feel like the suit power-ups were kind of an afterthought for Miles Morales. Like I feel like with Marvel Spider-Man, I was like on it, trying to get these like
Yes.
power up these gadgets as much as I could. For
Getting
Miles
the web
Morales,
blossom was OP.
Oh,
Just like being able
so
to
good.
sling it out everywhere, having the spider punk suits powers. Those were so good. And then you get to Miles Morales and you're like, man, I feel like I'm kind of missing that level of satisfaction.
The only thing I could say is, I guess with Peter Parker having such a rich history in the Spider-Verse, being the Spider-Man, they had more to pull from that. And I feel like Miles Morales has not even a fraction of that time. So that I feel like there's just less to pull from him. There is enough, but it's just significantly less when you compare it to the OG Spider-Man. And it was definitely felt for Miles Morales. But at least for me, I didn't really mind too much. I did notice it, but I think the Venom powers really made up for the lack of gadget powers. I was just
Oh yeah.
electrocuting everybody to no end. But dude, I gotta say, oh god, you get freaking electrical powers, and then you become New York's electrician. Like every puzzle, every little moment of your life in this game, you're an electrician. You're dealing with batteries and freaking cables. Like what the? If I wanted to just play a game about being an electrician, I would just go and get my electrician license and be an electrician, because I did get sick of the electrical puzzles, dude.
It didn't bother me too much. I understood why we had all those puzzles now, because it's like, okay, you have an electric base power. They're going to, exploit that to the fullest for the gameplay. I actually really liked being able to trace the wires like through the walls. I enjoyed that aspect of things. I thought that was fun.
I just, the whole time I was just thinking, I'm like, thank God Miles Morales is here, because if the whole New Form incident would have happened a year ago before Miles Morales and it was just Peter would be screwed out of his mind because he has no electrical powers. Like
Right.
to me, it was pretty glaring. That is actually my number one complaint about this game, is like the puzzles got annoying for me. I'm like, I kind of miss I like the puzzles better for Marvel Spider-Man. Like this one, it's just like, if it's a puzzle, there's electricity, and that's just how it's gonna go the whole time. And that is probably my biggest complaint for the game. But the gameplay is fine.
And I think that I would say in my mind, like overall for both games, and like you said, kind of driving it home in Miles Morales, I think it suffers a little bit in variety. I think that these games, they try to have these other sequences, and that's why you wind up with these weird drawn out Mary Jane moments. And I think it's because they're trying to find another way to keep that excitement alive without getting burnt out on it. For me, like I do think that the Miles Morales ones weren't too terrible. I think they made a great decision not having the slow pace moments.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll take too many electrician moments over those slow pace moments any day.
Well, that I would say one more just like bad thing that I didn't like in an otherwise fantastic game, you know that I'm not a fan of things like New Game Plus. I don't like New Game Plus.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
me either, honestly.
And Spider-Man had some stuff hidden behind New Game Plus, but the Miles Morales stuff was pretty egregious. Like there's
Really?
three whole skills that you unlock on the skill trees, one for each section: camouflage, venom, and combat. All three of those are locked behind New Game Plus.
Man,
And I'm
yeah,
like,
that's rough.
Why? Let me play your game once. Like, I don't like that the way that you artificially extend the game. And have other games done New Game Plus right before? Yes. Would I say Miles Morales is one of them? No, because I want to beat the game once and then maybe I'll revisit it later. But hiding a whole like section of skills behind New Game Plus in a suit, I'm good. And then an
Yeah.
achievement behind beating the game on New Game Plus, like I can't
Again.
platinum this game because it's hidden behind beating the game on New Game Plus, and I'm just not going to do that anytime soon. But overall, dude, my final thoughts on this game: I liked it better than the Marvel Spider-Man, not by a lot. It's not like I'm saying, yo,
Dang.
this is the #1 best. I'm like, I think they're both interchangeable. To me, they feel like an extension of the same game. And honestly, the aesthetic, the culture that Miles Morales brought into his game, the setting of Harlem, the amazing characters like Haley.
Dude, easily, I would say Haley, other than Miles, obviously, is by far my favorite character from the whole game.
Oh, absolutely, dude. And then listen, this is a hot topic. And, hot topic alert if we even have a signal for that. We don't. Oh, okay. Well, hot topic. So I am a fan. I am enthusiastic about bringing people into video games from all walks of life.
Absolutely.
Whether you're black, whether you're Mexican, whether you're deaf, whether you're paraplegic, or quadriplegic, whatever. People exist. Every person in this world has their own special flavor, and to see even a taste of that in a game, and it's not just your cookie cutter characters like Haley being a woman of color, being deaf, knowing American Sign Language, and just showing her with grace and showing her with like giving her character respect to the story around her. She was a fantastic addition to this game, and I know that there's some dark-hearted people out there that are just like, oh, pandering, oh, like, do we have to really
Which
do
is so
this?
ridiculous. I mean, it's like, when was the last time that you even saw a side character who signed, who knew ASL, who's deaf, and she just looks like a normal person? Like, what? How does that hurt you to have that in a game, right? And by far,
Yeah.
I think that she had some of the most personality of any of
Yes!
the characters in the game.
Without talking.
Without talking, I think that she was able to express herself in ways that none of the characters did. I loved her so much.
Yeah, me too. She was, again, I'm with you. She was probably my favorite character in the whole game. She had so much personality, and they didn't make they like I said, they treated her with respect. They didn't make her like being deaf and using sign language as some sort of crutch. Like, she's just existing. She's just
Right.
like you would find
That
anybody
doesn't
else.
define her. It's part of her, but again, her personality shined regardless of whether she used ASL to communicate or not.
Yeah, so going back, bringing her into my final thoughts, she was just part of that personality of Harlem. Like, that's where most of this game was set.
Right.
All these, the different characters, the Puerto Rican flair, the black culture flair. I mean, you make Spider-Man black and he's already 100% cooler just because he's black.
The swag
He's-
is so good.
He's like, he has that something that as a Mexican I won't understand, and as a white man you won't understand, but I saw it bleed through in this game. Like, whatever the black culture is, what a black person sees, I could confidently say they could see some like part of their culture in this game. I feel like Insomniac did such a great job with
Yeah.
bringing the black culture, the Puerto Rican culture, and the overall culture of Harlem into a game, bringing it with respect to the source material that is Spider-Man, and bringing it to respect, which is the source material of the real world cultures of Harlem. I think
Absolutely.
this game just overall just slightly inched better in terms of my mental score for what a Spider-Man game could be, and this game really makes me excited for Spider-Man 2.
Absolutely. So, and that's the thing is this game is obviously smaller, right? So a lot it received a lot of flack for that, but my thing is, yes, they started off with a price tag that was too high. I think that anyone can really agree that when you start off a game like this at 60, even 60, but especially $70, that's not okay. This game, as beautiful as it was, how much we both loved and enjoyed it, it should never be in the realm of $60. First release, I could see a game like this being $40, even being a larger name. I think that when you have these more bite-sized games, that's okay. I think big studios shouldn't have to pump out these 200-hour gigantic mammoths of games every single time. I think that sacrifices quality, and I think it makes players have to wait to the point that the game arguably becomes less relevant from when it was announced. So I think that coming out with a game like this is great, but we have to find a balancing point, right? When I saw this game, I was hyped for the announcement, but I played it, and thank God I didn't buy it on release. I bought it after the fact, and I paid like 20 something bucks off eBay. So I made out like a bandit on it, honestly, but I would never have paid more than 40 bucks for this game in any world. But that's okay, is what I'm getting at. We can have games this size, and it should become more normal. We should have less huge games for a smaller price tag. Not every game needs to sell for 70 bucks, and these developers need to get that into their head too.
Yeah, I mean, I would consider this like a double A game versus a triple A game. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I guess I'm not totally versed on what would make something double versus triple A, but I would understand in the sense that like this isn't pulling every bell and whistle, pulling all the stops, investing every single ounce of energy, manpower, and money into it, obviously, because it's not nearly as long. But again, I loved that. I appreciated that. My only gripe would be the price.
Yeah, and then, so would you like to leave us on a positive thought from Miles Morales?
Absolutely, man. At the end of the day, it's a Spider-Man game. I love Spider-Man so much. He is always going to be near to my heart, and anything that comes out, I'm going to play it. I know I'm going to love it. But for me, Miles Morales was great. I loved every second of it, and I can't wait for Spider-Man 2. I think, again, like what we said with Spider-Man 1, it set the bar high. Miles Morales kept it right there. So I have high hopes, man.
Yeah, for sure. So here at Lobby Up, we love to leave you all with a positive message. Today's topic has been Spider-Man, a superhero that most of us at some point or another has identified with. I'm here to say, keep holding on to that feeling. You're never too old to identify with your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. The beauty of it all is that there's a Spider-Man for everyone. No matter what or how you identify as, there is a Spider-Man for you. As Stan Lee once said, anyone can wear the mask. So go out there and be the best version of yourself that you can be. Thanks for lobbying up with us.
Bye, guys.